Hey everyone, you guys wanted me to show you a tutorial about how to finish up your end. So here we go. So what you're going to want to do, depending on which clasp you use, you're going to want to go over and under every row of string at the very, very end, depending on your class. The clasp I'm going to use requires a good chunk. If you do the other clasp that just goes over the bottom row of beads, then you don't need to build it up that high. So make sure you're consistent. Go through every other one. And you're going to want to take it all the way down to the very end. Now, when you do that, be careful which way you're going to position that string, because if you miss that last string when you go back the other way, you're going to unravel all your strings. So make sure you're going around that perfectly. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to tie off every 2 strings. And make sure you tie it twice, and I'll show you why in a few seconds. But you definitely want to tie off every 2 strings. Do not get ahead of yourself and tie off 3 or 4 strings, because you're going to end up bubbling your beads where they're going to look very lumpy. This process is going to cause a very smooth finish if you do every 2. Now watch this. Pay close attention. This is why you need to tie it twice. This right here, if you just do it one time, look how loose it is. See, open, close, open. See, if you let go of your string, it opens back up. So if you tie it twice, you hold your thumb and you tie it the second time, then it's going to be tight enough for you to move on to your next 2 strings. And watch. Now I can let it go, nothing happens. All right, so now you're going to want to stitch your bottom row of beads to that little kind of, I don't know, threads you've kind of built up. So you kind of want to loop it, and you're going to loop it around it twice. You're going to kind of like stitch it in. You're going to sew it around there, and you want to make sure you do it twice. Make sure you're consistent staying in that same general area, because if you skip ahead, you're going to end up getting string over your beads, and you don't want that. So stay within the same area. Just kind of pull on your string to make sure you're right there. Now this one, you can be a tiny bit sloppy, like skip every so many. Maybe you can tie it maybe 4 times, 5 times. It depends on how big your project is. I think this one I may have done about 4 times. And you just kind of loop it in there. You're stitching it to the top. And as I stitch it to the top, I'm going to kind of drag it over that whole entire top. So there's like really nothing to hold on to. I'm just kind of putting it over there. And now I'm going to drag it through one more time in that same area, that same row that I already had it on. Just watch what you're doing. Make sure you're careful, because even though you don't see it at the top, doesn't mean that you're not accidentally making a mistake at the bottom. Your bracelet should be able to be, you know, reversible. You know, you can turn it one way or the other. All right, so as you do this, you're going to want to do this all the way down. And the reason why I say you can skip every so many and you can be a little bit more sloppier at the very, very top in that black row that you built is because the clasp is going to go over that. No one's going to see that part, but they are going to see the beads. So make sure you're very careful about how you do it. I think I did 5 times. I did 2 on each corner, 1 in the middle, and 2 on each corner. I mean, like towards the end. So once you finally get to the very end, let's see if we tie this off. Oh, see, I made a mistake right there. See how you could see the string over the bead? If you don't catch that, you can make a mistake. So here I am. I'm going to fix it. And sometimes it's not that easy to fix. Sometimes you have to unravel what you just did to make sure. But that one right there, it was just kind of caught on it. But be very careful not to do that. Now I'm going to still string it back to the same area that I was on. And then I'm going to go back down to kind of finish it off. Oh, I didn't show that. But anyways, so here I am burning the edges. Be very careful. Make sure your air conditioner or heater's not blowing. Because if it burns down too far, you're going to end up popping off all your beads. All that hard work you just put into it has been wasted. So be very, very careful. Now, this is the clasp I'm using. I do not care for this clasp. I think it has a sloppier finish versus the other clasp I use. The other ones you can see in some of my other projects where it just slides on the bottom row. It's a stronger metal, like a thicker, stronger metal. It is more money, but it's definitely worth it. The link is on my Amazon page if you guys want to look into it further. They're both on there. This is just the cheaper route that I was kind of doing. I use some of these for my giveaways. That way I'm not spending so much money on products and just losing out. But it makes a fun, I mean, it holds together perfectly. It's just not what I would probably want going forward. So as you see, I'm just kind of pinching it together. You can kind of see a lumpier appearance. It isn't the best, but it gets the job done. And then here I am, so you can see some strings popping out. Those are from my burnt edges. Those ones are easy to fix. Sometimes I burn them and sometimes I just cut them. It's not that big of a deal. It goes away.